Did you know that nearly every object in our universe resonates to some extent? Wires, leaves on the trees, puddles, even every atom that forms us resonates to some extent. And when those objects resonate, an energy transfer occurs and creates a topic what we know as waves. In 1678, a scientist called Huygens thought that light also had angular characteristics. That was then followed by the experiment of Young, which supported the Huygens results by sending a beam of light from a narrow slit into a simple apparatus, and which only existed if light acted as waves. However, there is one basic need for any undulating event: medium. For example, sea waves occur in water, sound waves occur in gas, solid and liquid objects, and earthquakes occur in the outer layers of Earth. So the real question we should ask is there a medium for light? Is space empty after all, or is there a substance? In the 4th century BCE, Aristotle introduced a new idea of a substance that filled the universe called as ether. And for many years, scientists like Descartes and Newton used this to explain their own theories and many other things. In the late 17th century, with the results of Huygens' experiment, this concept became even more firmly rooted in the physics world. Imagine a substance that filled every gap and void, even ones in vacuum. However, for a thing like ether to exist coherently with the laws of physics, it should not react with anything by any means of physical or chemical ways. So how are we going to prove its existence then? Well, we know for a fact that Earth traveled around the Sun with a velocity of 30 km per second, and Sun rotated our galaxy with a velocity of 220 km per second, which would create a relative velocity between Earth and ether. So this effect is called as Aether winds. To detect this, two scientists, Michelson and Morley, came up with an idea of building an interferometer. This device worked with the principles of separating a beam of light into two and then merging them up again. In theory, every individual beam was supposed to be affected differently from the Aether wind since their directions were perpendicular. Although this experiment had a 10 to the power -9 meters precision and was studied nearly for 50 years, there was no significant effect of Aether wind, which led this experiment to be known as the greatest failure in the science world. However, thanks to this experiment, Albert Einstein introduced a new concept known as special relativity, which is a fundamental topic for new understanding in the mechanics of light and was the final damage on the reputation of ether. Also, this interferometer opened many doors to new ventures in science world, and it is still being used in many areas such as GPS technologies, detecting gravitational waves, and so on. So maybe this wasn't really the greatest failure after all.